And these two teams, as I said, they might be tired, but you know they're hungry.
And Concord, of course, a team that has made itself known, has not had the success in this spring semester so far, but Crispy CMOS and Helix as well all have really phenomenal chemistry. They were talked about all last season as being, the EU transports that have kind of started it all, but we have seen so much talent really blossom in the Collegiate Rocket League field, and it's exciting. As I mentioned as well, they both have played their group stages in this final bracket today so far, and just previously Concord went all the way to 7 with Bruton Parker, which was a little bit of a surprise, being how good Concord has been just statistically, historically, but a long day. We've mentioned a bunch of tournaments that these teams are competing in. A lot could go wrong if you're not fully ready for it.
Ooh, Nex looks ready, but he's not going to be able to put that one underneath the bar. And as you said, yes, there is a lot that can go wrong, especially because you can come all this way for nothing. Only the winner of this event is going to be able to qualify in for CECC championship in Texas in May. And so therefore, it looks like Concord's trying to make sure it's them, but the placement just not there. Both teams now hitting the bar.
Yeah, Concord's so hungry for it right now. They have been doing well, constantly hitting that backboard, getting follow-up shots, finding a miss, a fake here by CMOS, goes into the pass for Crispy, and on the board first is Concord.
Really do like that from CMOS, going off that double, and you see Polar waiting for exactly that. And then when no touch comes in, it's pretty much on a platter for Crispy, knocking it down, showing him, the rest of his teammates rather, how it's done. And it took quite a lot of effort for Concord to be able to get on the board, but that's really all they need to focus on. And now it's kind of on defenses. That fake does not actually benefit Knight, not getting the power he's looking for, and might even produce a fast break if Helix has his way. Delayed flick, Knight gets the first save in, also the second as well with some assist from his teammate.
Yeah, crazy offensive pressure from Concord. They're currently at 6 shots already in the first minute and a half of gameplay. Of course, Cumberland on the other side of things, 4 saves. This is the last second save for Crispy. Next, able to sneak it in. That one not good enough. A great answer for Cumberland early.
Love that one from Polar. Gets to it so quickly and then just delays it, gets a 50, and Crispy has no idea what's going to happen. So great, definitely a solid and smart idea coming in from Polar, but that's kind of what we expect. Him and Nex were recruited to Harrisburg. They transferred over here to Cumberland, and this has been their program's best run through a lot of these tournaments. And I will say, despite as good as they could be, you're still always going to give up a kickoff goal every once and again.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal cheat by Crispy. You can't get any closer than that. Immediately picks it up, has so much momentum, unable to stop. When we talk about series, we talk about the day. Even when we talk about tournaments, teams often seem a little cold in game number 1, or like they're getting used to this series. That might end up being a little bit of an own goal, but phenomenal pressure coming from Crispy. Usually, I was just going to say how fast-paced this seems right off the rip, and it's been constant goal pressure after goal pressure.
On top of that, we're getting a lot of plays that are going forward and having the individual shots and the typical 50s that you would expect. But really what it's taking to get through is some really devious fakes or some ridiculous mechanics being busted out, as we saw Polar's fake earlier, and now Crispy getting that reset from the ceiling, trying to spike it down and forcing just really awkward saves. So clearly, despite how long these teams have played, they're not lacking for creativity. They've still got some juices flowing in the brain, and hopefully it can continue for both of their sakes, because I'm not entirely sure how this one's going to work out. Even with a 2-goal lead, I don't know how stable that is from the side of Concord.
Concord's still putting on those shots, continues to go. We're halfway through this game 1, and they're already at 10 total shots. If they keep up this pressure, we'll hit 20 by the end of it. A demo play, CMOS trying to do it by himself. Good thing there's a clear and a follow-up by Cumberland, but they've had such a difficult time getting out of their half, especially with the demos, the boost steals that Concord keeps bringing. They need an outlet pass. They need a way to get out and upfield in a consistent manner. You can't keep clearing it straight towards the enemy team, because that's just giving away your possession.
It's going to harm you a lot more than you think, especially if you're thinking, I can cover most of the goal, but you really need to be able to cover all your options when you're playing against some of the very best. Concord is certainly above those. Cumberland increasingly so, as Moss is going to be threatened with a demo. He jumps, and therefore there's nobody home.
Yeah, that's just an open shot for Nex, who was, by the way, the only one with really manageable boost. Polar and Knight actually go forward and to the right in order to pick up the 100 boost pads, initially at 0, and Nex is able to do something on his own. It's incredible with even the limited amount of boosts we've seen from these players, what they're able to do, how they're able to recover, use a little bit of style. Another bump comes through from Knight. Next able to carry it through, and there's the equalizer. 3-3. This game is tied.
Confidence of Next to take that one down, arguably the least accomplished competitively of his teammates across the RL scene, and yet he has the confidence to be able to look at a defending CRL national champion and just take it right off the kickoff, fake it down, pinch it on through. And as I mentioned, these leads never comfortable, could be even completely eliminated as they fall behind if that double went the way of Next, but even that is asking for a lot, even from a player like him.
Yeah, I mean, immediately looking at that bracket, seeing both of the previous games going to 7, you had to feel like this was going to be good, and they have given us everything at the beginning of this game number 1. I mean, you'd have to wonder, this game has felt so long with how many different opportunities we've seen, different looks the teams have been able to give us. We've seen bump and demo pressure. We've seen simply just better goals. This one bouncing all around, but on target. Crossbar back down again, still off the other bar. Concord just can't seem to get it in, and somehow it gets past everybody.
Ain't that just the way it goes? 3 different post-its saying, it's okay, we finally got it out. And then both players diagonal flip into each other, which parts the sea for Helix to say, okay, well, finally, I guess I'll collect that one. That's going to be his second, Concord's 4th, and this is just a shooting gallery right now for game number 1. The rest of the grand final has to live up to this one, where it might be here for a while after all the goal replays, and I get what if Knight has his way, just getting beaten to it, though, by Helix, and he'll get a hefty deflection.
Yeah, you cannot panic on the defensive end of things, and you see as soon as you panic, mistakes end up happening, and Concord has regained their lead under a minute left in this one, and they have not given up that pressure that we have seen from them all game long. Helix taking his time, going underneath, pops one over Polar. Knight's last back, trying to safely put it in the corner. Double commit though by Concord, crispy to turn. This one will not go past to CMOS, and Helix 50'd as well. Maybe one final opportunity for Cumberland to tie up this game. A pop, Polar stealing boost, has the read straight down. Next tries to get their shot off target. Knight trying to get there too far. The demo as well to boot. And this one will need to go the length of the field in order to finish. It'll be denied on the shot, but it doesn't matter. Wrong shot, wrong time. They're no stranger, of course, to having that offensive pressure. And I mean, that must be one of the highest shot counts I've seen in quite some time to finish. I mean, we regularly see, 12, 14, but 19 is just such an astounding number. It seemed like they had infinite boost at times. CMOS, the one-on-one, can he get through? Next cannot do just that, but right back to it. I mean, already 2 shots on the board, and it hasn't even been 20 seconds for Concord. They just have some magnetism towards the net that always seems to get them there. But Cumberland, rightfully so, has done a good job, most part, for defending those that are on target, and for doing a good job of really not panicking too much, other than that one time we saw when shots ring around the net. They need to be ready for those fakes that we saw earlier, but I think this team is still very well matched, even against how aggressive and confident Concord is.
I would definitely say Cumberland, if we're going to be using the basis of just qualifying into the top 8 within CRL main events, then that is exactly what you'd expect. A top 10 team in the nation, you could argue, from Cumberland. Just the difference is that the levels of magnitude of quality, when you get higher and higher up there, can be a little difficult to manage, and Concord is definitely among those teams. You can tell in just how they approach the reads, how they beat you out, and then on top of that, how they use their mechanics. Crispy's got one locked and loaded. He does not use it. He does not need it.
Yeah, it's just a well-apt fake, a well-apt challenge to begin with, able to control it all the way to the ground, let the bounce do the work, doesn't need to go underneath. The fake, you can only cover so much of the net, especially when you're being chased, and Crispy, one of the ones to, of course, do it best when it comes to those mechanics. Well done. I think the speed certainly favors Concord, and that's why they have these little jump moments against the likes of Cumberland when it comes down to it. Now Cumberland again facing a deficit. They were able to come back last game. Can they do it again in this one? They certainly have had a much harder time getting upfield.
Certainly just getting to the ball sometimes. That wasn't even so much a bump as just getting in the way, jumping in front of Knight to be able to clear the path for Samas. It's a frustrating one, but even on low boost, all of Concord are dangerous.
Yeah, wonderful job with the recoveries. I agree. What these players have been able to do with little to no boost consistently has been outstanding. A double fake on the kickoff. I mean, kickoff strategy has certainly blossomed more in the past couple of semesters, but who would have thought both teams had the same idea, same plan? CMOS, the shot with the upfield pass. How does Helix get through everybody to maintain control? A great clear by Next, and we continue on in midfield.
Concord are so quick to these reads. They are leaving nothing to the imagination on how that ball is going to bounce. As soon as the ball is floating toward the sidewall, they're already pre-jumping in. You can see Cumberland trying to be able to ready themselves for some of these reads, and they simply cannot keep up at times. I think that's the one thing I'm a little bit anxious about. Granted, we saw the comeback before. We knew how flimsy it could be, especially if Cumberland does get some open looks, but I think they're looking for any looks whatsoever. They've only been able to muster 2 shots here right as we cross halftime. Oh.
Wow.
How about make that 3?
You know, when this one started rolling, I'm like, there's no way that one's just on in. But it is. Polar threads the needle, goes underneath the defender. I mean, how many rolling shots do you generally get? The jump, a good idea, but not the right trajectory to defend that shot. And you know what? We've seen Cumberland. They've stayed close within this entire series, always seemingly within 1, lurking and coming back even within 2. And now they have to just get 1 more, and this game becomes tied. Just because we're often favoring the likes of Concord with shots like that, Cumberland still has not let enough go to be out of this game entirely.
Going to take a lower 50. Says it's going to be Polish rocket one, and I like that idea. Crispy is starting to creep out, and sometimes he can catch them by surprise, though. Got to wake up pretty early to sneak one past Crispy, and same with Nightyaw on the near post. He's going to get that first flick, but not the second. Deflection right into Samas. He might just rocket that top corner. Can't place it much better, but Polar taking no chances.
I mean, huge shouts to Polar, has the Savior medal with that 3rd save, a demo upfield. Polar doing it all for his team. If you're going to have a dynamic player, that will be named Polar. Wonderful job from the back end to the front end to make that play possible.
And I love always going for a demo when you have a player in the air, because it's kind of that distraction piece. Your ball cam is situated up. You can't really see the player coming in from the corner, going for a bump across your back line, and that's just textbook from Cumberland. But I don't want to say that as if their play style is fairly orthodox. They're throwing a lot of different curveballs at Concord that they're not really able to handle. So it's the second time now where they've had a 2-goal lead. It has crumbled, but is Cumberland able to actually snatch yet another one? They might have thought they had it there, but the demo prevents it. Follow-up shot saved away.
This is such an exciting match. I want to be more of a viewer than a caster right now, but I need to do my job. It's been fun to watch the different really tied to the game, who has a little bit more momentum, who's using that momentum to their favor, who's pulling out different tricks and kind of peaking when the moment's right. Next here, trying to get underneath, finds the double tap right off the backboard, and just like that, Cumberland swings to a lead.
Next, you gotta calm down. Eventually, you're gonna run out of mana to pull off this stuff or something, because this is just magical right here. Getting the double tap from an angle, no hesitation. He does not have a huge window to shoot that. It really has to go at that speed, at that pace on the setup. And this man is completely on fire. Someone needs to put him out, but maybe just wait until the end of the series, because he's definitely keeping them in this game. Maybe even put him in the lead. Here's maybe another one, if not for Helix.
Oh my goodness. Cumberland keeping us on the edge of our seat. Polar will have a great challenge into that. Definitely has the double tap read. Finds the angle to the pass for Next. Get the lead a little bit further. 40 seconds left. Cumberland now 2 back-to-back goals. In fact, make that, I think, 4 unanswered goals in order to have a lead in this one. And they have been unstoppable in the back half of this game.
Sometimes games are like pendulums. It swings back and forth. It seems like it swung to Cumberland. They just kind of held on to it, and they're not allowing to swing it back. Defense is clean. Midfield is really impeccably played, getting into fake challenges, pre-jumping, getting those bumps, for example. So right now I feel like Concord is a little bit lost for words on how to really phrase what they want to do going forward. They're getting these certain 50s, but ultimately I think Cumberland understands they just have to play for the clock and be able to burn this down to turn it into an effective best of 5.
I think Cumberland has done a better job as well of reading Concord in the back half of this game. They've figured out what exactly they've been doing, and they've likely stopped the play and the shot before it even happens, before it becomes that dangerous. And because that adjustment's been made, they've been able to transition offensively, make better opportunities for themselves, and they've executed. You know, in the grand scheme of things, 5, 6, 7 goals a game does seem like a lot, but we're nearing almost 40 shots an entire game so far with how many we've seen. Between the 19 that Concord had to start, in the past I think both teams had about 15 in that last game. That's way more opportunities than we normally see, and we're 10 seconds in and we already get our first goal again. It just seems like really consistent, continuous offense. You have to break up that play in the midfield before it even happens, but who can react in the first 10 seconds to even try to stop it?
Yeah, it's one of those cascading type of failures on defense where you have a pass that might be going middle, but you don't quite attach yourself to it. Next is last back, and you're thinking, I probably have enough time to go to the side and grab some pads. And then turns out very quickly, you do not. Pass goes right through, easy shot. That's a little bit of a tough one for Cumberland to swallow because it seems like they did pretty much everyone right. They had everyone in position, but a little bit of crafty play from Concord means not quite. So good win, but now you're right back into the blender. Seemingly Concord starts off these games a lot more positively.
Knight will have to just patiently wait. Helix definitely in control of this one. Had a couple of touches, but a great clear by Next. Polar tries to be up crispy. The beat, the 50 in midfield, will go in favor of Knight. Pops this one mid. Crispy up first, and even on the low boost, the challenge is made. Now Knight in the air. What a challenge from the side. It's so hard to predict something like that, but that's exactly attacking the play before it's able to develop. The drop down here, Helix has to read first, safe into the corner, and a reset for both teams.
Next solid hit out. Crispy will be able to intercept it, but it gets intercepted himself. A lot of bumps in the midfield. Next is on no boost, but he's just kind of half flipping his way through the midfield. Maybe getting a bump. Samas gonna deal with that off target. Polar, no problem. Still finds the angle.
I love the development of Polar as a player. It's been fun to watch him really throughout the past years on a couple of different rosters, and today he has done a wonderful job both defensively and offensively, finishing out that play all on his own. You know, this is the first time I think Cumberland's had a lead before Concord in this one. And you can tell the wheels maybe falling off the bus. Concord not as confident as they started off in the series.
Especially when people are getting bumped in the midfield yet again. Knight, great read, and he doesn't even need it, as Polar's shot is just gonna go through unimpeded.
What? I don't think Polar even thought that one was on target, but you know what? Well, we take those. It doesn't have to be the prettiest, it just needs to do the job, and now Cumberland has a 1-goal lead. Just when Concord was fighting back at it, we see them get it right back. It's crazy. The difference this game has continually swung and changed its pace, and who has more offensive pressure and who makes a single mistake that could be the entire defining factor of this game.
Yeah, and I feel for Concord on that last one, because it doesn't even feel like a mistake as much as just the fact that you're playing the read and then the player doesn't get the read. So you're kind of just shaking your head. It's like, well, I was going on that. Hopefully someone's back. Oh, you're not? All right, well, I guess we'll have to dig the ball out of the back of the net and go from there. And that's really been the storyline for a lot of these games. The difference was that game one, Concord was able to stay involved and really fight their way through to get that game-winning goal. Nowadays, it feels like Cumberland, they take one goal down or maybe two, and then they are just on a roll ever since then. If not for some of these 50s in the backfield by Crispy, then maybe could continue, and Swelty's challenge from Next. He's going to get one and then a second to stop the attack.
And Knight just puts that one on. Helix comes back to it. The follow-up only by Crispy. Sent it the other way, but Polar's there. He's searching on the sidewall. Has the back read, but it just falls a little bit too far down on the waterfall. Oh, the setup, the play almost figured out just from the get-go. But it's nice to see the vision from Cumberland and what they've been able to do offensively. Granted, they're all now together on the back post. My mind was exactly whatever sound you just made. I cannot replicate it, but that is exactly what I was thinking.
Well, just like my voice quivers a little bit, just as much as the defense is probably doing the same. Just like, hey, everyone shut up, just let me touch the ball forward. He's everyone just collapsing in on it. Polar says, I have enough boost, I'll take it up and above, and then we'll take it down. Much like on this one from the sidewall, I think he's trying to pick out that back post, or at the very least, see if Knight is interested. Maybe Nex is, third time is not the charm. He's able to take it somewhat forward, though immediately swept away by Samas, and now Helix is going to be dispossessed. Knight, does he have the speed? Not past Crispy.
This one's still rolling dangerously. A demo as well on the back foot, but Helix, great job to control this one throughout midfield. Next challenging, wins that challenge, has 0 boost, can't do much more, and it's past Polar as well. So Knight will have an opportunity, can take it all the way from the back wall, can't really get through Crispy, but Polar's there, just puts it on target, makes it dangerous. Back into the corner we go. Next, the pop out. and CMOS there to send a nice clear out and upfield. Crispy with what little boost he had somehow still got for it, but I think they're all overextended. Is that one just gonna bounce on in? CMOS gets back in time, but with a minute remaining, this is not the side Concord wants to be on.
And at Cumberland, they just do not care about the situation right now. They have one goal up with a minute remaining, and you're thinking, probably got to sit back a little bit. No, they're still aggressive. They're chasing the ball back across. Granted, they are occasionally leaving a gap, but if you have a player like Cole in the backboard, not a problem, especially with a follow-up dunk before Crispy has to restart the offense, and he could do only so much. So Moss is trying to do even more, but he also has nothing in the tank.
Oh, Polar. Well, again, 30 seconds wasted on that opportunity, able to get it all the way upfield. Next, almost threading the needle to get from the backboard in the net, in that goal. Polar still defending, blocking. It seems every single time someone's in a way, and it's likely Polar for Cumberland has been able to just thwart every single opportunity that Concord is taking at them. Next off the ceiling, puts this one on. One last play. Crispy sends it out to CMOS. CMOS off the ceiling, has a flip, doesn't get to use it in time, just needs to touch the ground, and does. Polar, MVP, Cumberland takes a game, and now we got ourselves even more of a ball game.
We need to figure out a way to structure it a little bit cleaner in the defense, because it is not going well down the stretch.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Cumberland settling in. I think they made the adaptations earlier. Instead of Concord, they've been able to prevent them from having that offensive pressure we saw earlier. 5 shots, that's a very low number for Concord. Only 1 goal to account for last game, and Cumberland doing much better again at stopping it at the source, at midfield, before any play can develop. I like to see the adjustments. I like to see the changes. I like to see this, you know, in a sense, it would be a little bit of an upset if Cumberland were to take it today. And it's fun to watch that they have just been playing, I think, a little strategically better. But there's still plenty of game left. We've seen the moments in what Concord's able to do. Polar, another phenomenal save and clear out upfield. He is on it in this game if we're going to call out anybody in particular.
And I think I'm still just waiting on someone on Concord to be able to be called out a bit more, mainly because we have not seen a goal in a bit. They scored that first goal earlier, and now it's been a full 5 minutes without any real offense from them. And I think for right now, they're not really caring too much on it. I asked for, are we going to be able to see a lot more scoring? And last one, only 3 goals. So maybe we are starting to settle down, Chixxa.
Yeah, settle in, settle down, figure out what's happening. Next, he had the fiery hand earlier, not able to thread the needle as well, but still that pressure coming for Cumberland is, of course, positive. Polar searching, has the touch to midfield, but that's not the greatest challenge. CMOS will actually be able to get this one towards the back wall. But this play is quieted. Next, in an awkward angle, gets 50'd, but still no further up challenge, and Polar does a nice job of extending this all the way upfield and again relieving that pressure.
CMOS going to be able to take that one across and at least gets one particular touch. Other than that, Next is going to be able to clean things up and then send it into Helix as Knight trying to get in front of it. A lot of weird deflections, and yet the reaction time still locked on in for Cumberland. Just got to hope is maybe the same for Concord as they're trying to get these fake cuts in, but these quick challenges from Cumberland are not going away.
Ooh. Lots of bumps and demos going on in net. The connection isn't made. This one goes through the pop. Does Helix find it? But Knight able to get the touch towards the sky. That's not a good touch by Polar, but the shot luckily is off target. Dicey defense for the likes of Cumberland. They haven't been able to get out of their half. They need a clear. That might actually help them from the Concord side, but CMOS up early. Backboard, does he have the read? Helix looking, can't have the angle. Crispy, 3rd time's the charm, will not go through. Polar credited with yet another save, and Next, now with boost and the pickup and the flick, is able to get this one upfield. And finally, they're able to take a little bit of a breath from that resilient Concord offense.
Maybe we'll see some bit more resilience being shown by Concord, except that's a kind of rough touch from CMOS, and yet I will say Knight not ready for it either. He's going to flip in place and now going to have to jump in place to stop Crispy, which he will have to rely on Next to assist him in that endeavor. Still looking for that first goal as we whittle down this time. You can almost tell the rotation's going a bit wider, just kind of probing and searching for where they can actually find a path through, but no one's getting a nice lead up for a solo play or really any setups for a passing play either.
Crispy towards the back wall. Polar there, yet again credited with his 5th save in this game so far. I likely see him having another one, and he is indeed credited with a 6th now. Has been a brick wall for Cumberland in this one. They haven't been able to get upfield as much as we've seen in the past. 7 shots for Concord right now, just 4 for Cumberland. Both need more pressure, both need a better opportunity, but everything's been a pot shot really on target for the most part. CMOS has some boost to work with, but can't do much more than that. Another touch getting deflected away, and seems like, I don't know, maybe these teams are a little tired, but it has been a much sloppier game than the 4-3 that we have seen so far in the series.
Ooh, hit across from Spots. I really like that opportunity. Thing is, Helix is a bit farther behind, and also Cumberland just have the reaction time of the gods, because I don't know how they're getting on top of this one, as that was really one of the better chances we've seen, as things are starting to get a bit more creative, as, yes, we might be playing a little bit safer, but at a certain point, you need to take a risk. How about sending one for a bump? And I think that might have been a deflection by the defense.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch this replay. Helix goes through, and yes, Next does own goal that one. Getting in front of Knight, unfortunate. I understand the call in wanting to deflect that ball into the corner, but if you don't have the right angle read, instead it's going to be a deflection on net and on target instead of one that was needed to be out. So now one goal could be the entire difference of who wins this game, but Polar has a nice jump shot, blocked by CMOS. Second opportunity, Nex is there, but Helix able to get the touch away. CMOS on the turn, gets there first, beats out one. Knight last back, 1-on-1. This one floating away, can Nex clear it upfield? Has the control, goes to the ceiling, pinches it off the backboard, has the read off the flip, and Nex peaks at the right time for Cumberland.
Check his PC. What is that? Helix gets a deflection, or at least a pixel on it, but you're going to need a lot more than that to stop the Zen-esque shot from Nex. An incredible way to keep your team in it, but if they win this, I don't know how the morale improves from there from Concord.
Oh my goodness, don't count anything out. There still could be 0-second heroics. Crispy off the ceiling doesn't have the read. This one will actually go the other way. And we will see overtime in game number 4, a pivotal one. As you were saying, if Cumberland is able to take this, they'll go up to match point. If Concord takes it, well then they tie up the series in 2-2. Two very different stories, but this isn't where Concord wants to be to start off in overtime. Up on down we go.
I know. Every competition I've seen out of Cumberland, they've gotten better and better, and it seems like they might be improving even further. It's a sitter in front of the goal. Polar does not want to dive in. I do not blame him. He'll gladly pinch it across, and looks like both players on Concord have it. That's a double commit, but it's a pinch instead. Samas rescues Concord from disaster.
CMOS and Crispy continuously have been the ones upfield, causing the most pressure, causing the most chaos. We'll go off with a fake kickoff to start in this one. How creative are we going to be to try to get to match point first?
Yeah, we've been seeing a couple of different fake kickoffs, but there was a lull in those middle games where we're thinking, okay, I think let's go back to the ordinary. And now that they made a return, maybe people can stabilize a bit and we can see the creativity regain, because we've definitely seen a lower and lower scoring matches, and that's only to be expected as you get more into the meat of the series. But I would like to be able to have that experimentation, because I think that's the thing that really tricks up defenses more than anything else, is you just choosing the option that no one saw coming.
Creativity at its finest, and I think we see the most of it at the collegiate level, doing things that we would never expect in the slightest. A good jump by Nex on that read, pushes the ball back over to the Concord half. CMOS with some boost to work with, does get over Polar. Crispy able to pick up this one, goes towards the wall, can't get the double tap read, and the nice doink by Polar sends it out in midfield where it will stall.
Crispy going to hammer that one deep. Next to will have some of it, but actually Samas was wondering how far that one's going to go. He's not going to be able to find out, because it looks like a read by Knight and then a double by Concord means there's just so much commotion in the middle, and yet it's still within their control. Concord, I do like how much more they're trying to reach into some of these challenges and testing just how good the 50s are going to be from Cumberland.
Polar not much boost, neither with it Nex, but Nex is up, has Knight in midfield. We'll go for this read, does get a 50 onto it. CMOS to bring it down, Polar keeps it close, has the pass in mid, but Crispy clears it out. Next off the read, almost gets the secondary touch. If there was one person who I was holding my breath for, I thought Nex had it on the follow through, but unable to find it on the way back. for now it again stalls in the Concord half as both teams attempt to do air dribbles out of their own half to keep control.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Nex is just checking off the checklist, saying, okay, I got a flip reset, I have that, maybe I work in a musty or a breezy or something. Helix, maybe he's just trying to work in a fake, and I suppose simple is better. We're talking about how great Nex is, but he had no chance of stopping this one.
Yeah, Crispy ends up being a blocker in the front part of things, and Helix actually just some weird little jump flip thing is able to get demoed for it, blocks the ball, allows it to roll on through, and may not be the most conventional play, but as we've noticed, sometimes those are the hardest to defend against, and Concord is on the board first in this game and took quite some time to get to it. In fact, that is the only registered shot for Concord. Cumberland themselves with 2 registered shots, so we're not nearly seeing that offensive pressure that we saw earlier, just with how much this ball has been stalling in the midfield and in the corners.
Knight pre-jumping this one, and I do like how he doesn't want to flip into that one too much. Just get in the way, pause it, and then let your teammates be able to make up for the gap. And I would say Nex and Knight maybe combine in that one, but I don't really blame the option of just letting Nex cook and be able to take on this solo plays. Same with Polar, digs one past Samas, is getting a little chippy in the corner, but nothing really breaking through quite yet as everyone's trying to flip on out, recover, and it's hard to do that when you're in the scrap heap. Helix, not enough boost to get the flick, and there goes another attack out the window.
And more demos causing this game to slow down in its pace. Everyone challenging as soon as an air dribble or some sort of 50 comes up as needed. Nexus touch, not the greatest, will be dangerous in front of net, so this one will be cleared away into Concord's possession. We see Moss, but Nex has the read off the ceiling. Does he have another touch? Has a block though, and Knight able to get it on through. Cumberland's answer comes in the form of just a simple read from the ceiling towards the backboard.
And I love those types of hits, especially when everybody is collapsing in on goal. If there's no one on those near far posts to be able to get on the backboard, if you had it high enough, even if it's not going in, you can just chase it and get close, and it opens up options for the next player in rotation, Knight, to score an easy open net. Of course, nothing's easier than scoring off kickoff. And when you have 2 lead blockers, it's certainly not out of the question.
Concord has been the one controlling kickoffs, I think, much better in this series. I think this might be their 4th kickoff goal in some shape or form in this one, and they have done well keeping the ball close off of a cheat or either faking it out and finding a finalizing finish. I mean, say that 10 times fast. It's been incredible to watch it at the least. Knight, the flick. This one, early pressure off kickoff, but Simas the clear into midfield, and we go back towards the other way.
Ooh, now Crispy, a lot of boost, but not a lot of space to work with. The air dribble. Bombi still gets the save? Hello? Crispy somehow keeping Concord in the lead. They've lost too many leads to give up a goal like that, I guess.
Yeah, I think if there's anyone right now putting 110% on it for Concord, it's Crispy. He's been everywhere he's needed to be for Concord, and he has stopped the goals that have mattered the most. This one, though, a runaway. Can Knight find the angle? Unfortunately, just too far. A bump came through. Polar's shot won't go underneath the bar. Knight going back, poked away from the double tap opportunity, and they will have to retreat and try to reset again. Even off this 50, Concord maintains possession. Knight won't have a touch. Next gets there first. This one a waterfall down. It's on target, but Simas there instead gets the 50 and another touch to boot. What can Cumberland do at this point to try to come back? We've seen it before. Polar floating, trying to find blockers. Knight has an opportunity, sends it over. Here's the deflection by Next, but it's just off the mark again.
Pre-flip as well by Next to almost get that one through. That is the marker for how creative you have to be, and same with the defense, has to be quick. Crispy, another backline clear, which means Knight has his hands full. A lot of boost, but that's about it. Polar's up to help him. A bounce down to Next, surely not again on the goal line. Knight with the lob, stopped again by Helix. And is that enough to be able to hold down Cumberland? You never truly know. And now we do, the final touch going into the turf, and that is Concord putting things on match point for a land qualification slot. Honestly, the defenders are doing really well at doing what all elite defenses do. They stop the first shot and the second shot, but if you keep up pressure, that's either done through demoing players, stealing boost, or more importantly, holding on to your own boost to be able to keep on withstanding all of these shots, all the blistering defense, and then go on from there. And I think Concord has done very well, and I'm definitely giving them a nice little participation ribbon, if nothing else, for being able to shut down all these comebacks from Cumberland. And now it's on Cumberland just be able to make a lead organically and go from there.
Yeah, I think a card change for Polar. We'll see if that will get the adjustment, but I don't feel like anybody's been a problem this series in a sense of like bringing their team down. We've seen wonderful plays from all 6 players on the field. They've had their pop-up moments. They've contributed to the win in some way, shape, or form on the scoreboard and ways. So it's nice to see that they're kind of mentally rechecking, figuring out what they can do to be better, to impact that game more, and hopefully those adjustments made will. I mean, I want a Game 7 because I always want a Game 7. And this series has been exciting, more exciting, I think, than a lot of the series we've seen recently.
Yeah, I think some of these players, as we mentioned, they were playing on a LAN over Myrtle Beach right now. They probably do not want a Game 7. They probably just want to be able to go home. But nothing better than playing at least one more game if you be able to extend things, especially now because this is not just a for fun for qualification and seeding. This is for the qualification spot. Otherwise, you have to play a little bit later in the month in the last chance qualifier to get into the LAN championship in Arlington, Texas a little bit later in the year. And you know those players. I mean, this is exactly why you play in CRL, to play in those big competitions, in these big stages. Next, a brilliant shot and even better save by Helix.
How did that not go in? And now Polar is all by himself. Helix will take the shot, but it ends up being blocked and sent away. Back down, Helix towards the wall, tries to get through a cupper. Polar able to pop it up, gets to the 50 as well, and CMOS is on the wrong side of the ball to get continued pressure upfield. Instead, he'll have to send it just towards mid. Helix now picking this one up, tries to get the read, but a little bit too slow, not enough moves to follow up. CMOS first to it. Next as well, back in the air. We've seen how dangerous he's been. Helix an easy save to pop it back towards the other way, but giving away possession to Polar, and Next able to continue through, but not much boost on the follow-up. Each and every touch has to be fought for in this series.
Yeah, a couple times now we're seeing Cumberland moving upfield, and they just don't have the boost to be able to continue these plays. Case in point by Polar, so they just have to kind of rock one forward and hope for Concord to deal with it improperly, but that does not seem to be in the game plan. Well caught by Samas, the transferred over to Crispy, and then Helix pinches in the corner, which Samas might be able to pickpocket him, but no, he goes too quick. That's a whiff and a freebie.
Wow. When you go so fast, sometimes it's hard to catch up with the thoughts and reads as quickly as it needs to be. Rocket League is mere seconds when it comes to making the right choice or the wrong choice. And in that case, taking that wrong angle, jumping early, causes that to be an open goal and a lead now for Cumberland, who have been fighting to get back in this one. They're certainly the one down, the one who wants to get to Game 7. Starting off with a lead, especially with 2 minutes, we have seen how hard goals have been to come by in the back half of this series.
I do like that first touch. Problem is it's going to be deflected away, which means Helix is going to dive at it, and I don't know if he's going to get there, especially now that Polar is on the near post. Can't beat out that defender. He'll take him with him, but at the very least, it's going to only buy some more time for Nex to try something creative. No double, but that's why Polar's there again. Concord just finds a way to be able to get in the way of any of these angles.
Right. Oh, the read by CMOS comes through, and Polar able to deflect away. Next has some boost to work with, looks for the 50 on the ground, and it'll sneak towards midfield. Nobody ready, though, for Cumberland to follow up on the play. Crispy back towards the corner, bounces this one out. Next on the read, doesn't put it on target. Could have been an opportunity. That is missed. We'll see if Cumberland needs one. Polar going for the demo. But Helix maintains possession for quite some time. Crispy able to pick it up. Helix trying to come from the ceiling. Doesn't really have much more of a touch. CMOS threading the needle here, and Next stands tall in net to deny Concord. Multiple opportunities now on the offensive, but the shots just haven't been good enough to ring on in.
Crispy going across, and suppose that will be fine enough. And beyond that, we'll maybe just have to play with some, I would say, a bit more safe clears, and yet none really came out. Instead, it's going to be into the midfield for Crispy to deal with. And you have to be wondering how much closer they can get before they really just have to send the full house for Concord. Try not to bring this one to a Game 7. Even when they do get seemingly open nets, they don't have the boost to chase it down.
Back up to it. Next. Can't find the follow-up touch. Helix there first. Crispy is there as well as CMOS. That net is open. Can Crispy find the angle? Jumps and puts it on through. And Concord, with 18 seconds remaining, find the equalizer to potentially send this game into overtime.
I mean, that's just straight up crazy that Polar even gets that first read, but you got to feel for him. He gets the first, and that's why you need teammates. Unfortunately, Knight and Nex were both upfield trying to get some challenges. They got burn on him, and now We're down to the crunch time. Maybe we're not even going to get there. Next needs a read as Helix was coming in off the trick kickoff. Is another deflection off corner. Maybe means Crispy with a lead. Demo doesn't take the shot and might have just thrown it away. Granted, Nex is not up for it yet. It's still an angle. Back post. It's just wide. Looking to see a Game 6 overtime. Seeing if Cumberland can stay alive. And my goodness, is it hard to just even touch this one near the turf?
Not much boost in the tank for anybody on Cumberland. Crispy will let it touch the ground, and we see overtime in Game 6. Either Concord qualifying with a goal in this one, or Cumberland extending the series if they're able to do just that. Polar trying to find the read and get through. Went for a little bit of trickery right off kickoff. Wasn't able to. Knight having a hard time with that read. Crispy to it first. The bounce is down. Polar needs the read. Followed by CMOS. Can he back to it? No, and just like that, Concord get the spot for May Madness 2025.